Well, hello guys, and welcome to my first Rome Total War battle that I'm going to be uploading to YouTube. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Fruitan100, and I'm going to be your host for this session today. So, I'm going to be playing as the Arverni today, which is the Gauls, for those of you who played Rome Total War 1, and my opponent is going to be playing as the Romans today. You can see our army compositions listed over here, which is kind of a new system. This is what the overall multiplayer battle screen looks like when you get into a multiplayer game. So this is from a quick match, which is basically the equivalent of doing a ranked match. So when you do quick matches, you actually will get put on the leaderboards based on how well you do in your overall quick matches. So in this video today, guys, I'm just going to be talking about the basic mechanics of the game, showing you around this map that I'm going to be playing on today, and also showcasing a few of the units here. Now, unfortunately, I had a bunch of other replays that I wanted to show you all, but out of the 10 replays that I've saved, this is the only one that works. For some reason, SCA has completely screwed up their replay system, and out of 10 replays, this is the only one that works because all the other 9 replays either crash in the middle or in the beginning or near the end, or they don't appear to have the same outcome as the game turned out. So the replays are different. It's like they've been tampered with. So it's just kind of weird. Anyway, so my first thoughts on this game, though, guys, just before I get into this, is that this game is pretty fun. I definitely like the multiplayer a lot. I kind of find myself missing the Shogun 2 avatar system because it was a nice level of customization to the game that was added. But overall, I do like the new units. I do like the variety of the faction troops in general and the variety of the factions and how they all have different play styles. And I like the new additions, the new mechanics of the multiplayer system for the most part. I do find myself having a hard time understanding some mechanics of the game, but I think I'll learn in time. So as I said, I'm playing as the Arverni today, and on this map, this is a big forest map, so when I went into this map, was going in with the thinking that I should get a heavy infantry army and not a cav army, because obviously in a forest map, you don't want to have a bunch of cavalry, because cavalry is not very efficient in fighting in forest because you've got all the trees going around. It makes it so their charges are slower, things like that. So I went with a smaller cav component in this battle. Alright, so my army is composed of 4 units of Celtic Slingers. These are these guys. Celtic Slingers are really good in my opinion just because of the fact, I'll bring up the unit cards so you guys can see. The Celtic Slingers are really good because of the fact that they have the most range out of all the normal ranged units in the game. Now they have the least amount of damage, but they have the most ammunition from what I've seen, and they have the most range, and they also have the most shots per minute, and they also have an ability called Quick Fire, which makes it so they can fire more of their ammo off every minute, which is really cool. So I've got 4 of these guys. Right now, pretty much all of my troops are creeping in the woods. That's why you can see them all crouching like this. The animations in this game are very nice, and I really like the amount of immersion that SCA has made for the units in this game. It's really cool. And then I've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, I believe 4 units of Celtic Warriors. My guys are getting a little mixed up here. Celtic Warriors are the Averni's standard infantry unit. The Celtic Warriors are pretty good. Like, they don't have many they're not weak, but they're not strong necessarily. They're kind of just your normal run-of-the-mill infantry units. I like them because I try to make sure that my infantry corps is made up of mostly Celtic Warriors, and I usually will get a few other units. So Celtic Warriors are good, but they need to have good amount of support as well. We'll see those in action in a little bit. And then over here, these heavy-duty guys that are just walking like bosses past the Celtic Warriors are the Oathsworn. The Oathsworn are the most veteran units that the Averni can field out of their infantry units. The Oathsworn all have mail armor. They've got a lot of armor, health, really high morale, really high weapon damage and melee attack. These guys are magnificent. I have brought 3 of these Oathsworn to this battle today because I always find that a good combination of Oathsworn and Celtic Warriors will usually give you victory for the Arverni. Oathsworn are just awesome. And they've got an encourage ability which will actually make it, I think they have an encourage ability. I'm pretty sure the Oathsworn have an encourage ability which basically makes it so the units around them get a morale bonus. And they also have the ability to do a frenzied charge, and they can also do a shield wall. And they have a really good ability called Headhunt, which will give them a really good bonus to melee attack. So these guys are really nice. And then back over here, we've got my general who's playing as a noble horse general today. Now the general for the Arverni can be 3 different types of units, and the interesting thing in this game is that since Rome 2 has completely thrown out the Avatar Conquest system and also has completely thrown out the old system where you would actually have a persistently leveled up general, where you'd have persistent traits and a skill tree and things like that. What Rome has done to make it so you have at least a little bit of choice in what your general's playstyle is that they've basically made 3 preset classes, I'm going to use the word for, where you kind of define your general's behavior. So you have a commander, a strategist, and a warrior. The warrior class, if I remember correctly, is basically your standard melee general. This makes it so your general has a lot of debuffing attacks, like he has Warcry, which will lower the morale of a specific unit. You can use Intimidate, which will basically make it so a unit cannot use its abilities. The general will have a lot better stats overall. They'll be able to sustain themselves in a fight much longer. So those guys are pretty good. Then you've also got the commander, which your commander is your typical rally general, which he has a lot of unit buffing abilities. Like, he's not very strong in a fight, but he's very good behind your lines and making sure your troops stay alive. You can keep your troops alive with a lot of overall area of effect buff abilities, which is nice. And then you also have the strategist general, which the strategist general is very good for mobile armies, because of the fact that the strategist general has a bunch of abilities like second wind and things like that, which will basically reset your unit's fatigue level back to fresh, which is really nice. And then in the back over here, we've got 3 units. I've got 3 units of Spear Warriors. These guys are the 2nd tier Spear unit for the Arverni. I'm going to be keeping these units in the back most of this game because I like to keep at least a good contingent of Spears behind my lines to make sure when I actually engage the enemy, I don't have any enemy cavalry getting into the backs of my troops and running amok there. And then over on the left flank, I've got 4 other units. I've got 2 units of Naked Fanatics. Naked Fanatics are really good on the flanks of your troops because they are really good shock infantry. Since they basically have no armor, they cannot sustain themselves for too long, but they have a lot of really good crazy attack abilities like Frenzy, which will make it so they have really good melee attack and charge bonuses, but it also makes it so they're tired and they have less melee defense. So I'm going to keep these guys in the flank, at least for the start of this game, because I was hoping that my opponent was going to engage me in the center here, and I was going to use the Naked Fanatics in the flank. And then over on the far left here, I've got 2 units of Noble Horsemen hiding in the woods, and these guys are the Gaul's most heavy cavalry unit. Alright, so now that I'm done introducing my troops, I'll put this on normal speed. So the enemy here has brought kind of a lame army composition, to be honest. He's brought, I think, 4 Auxilian Syrian archers, and like I said, archers, they're not bad in this game, but I don't like them the most out of all the missile units, because archers have a lot of missile damage. As you guys can see, they have 25 missile damage, but they have less range than my troops. Than slingers, and they also have less shots per minute. So I typically like to have slingers over archers. And then the enemy has also brought, I believe, 4 units of Triarii, and that one's actually hidden. This game actually has a new line of sight system, and I'll talk about that in a minute. That's why these guys are disappearing. He's brought 4 units of Triarii. He's got 2 units of Praetorian Guard, which these are the Romans' most advanced infantry unit that they can field in the game. These guys are upgraded with 3 bronze chevrons, which is going to make them very powerful. And we've got his Legatus, which is his general in the back here, and he's probably a, looks like he's a morale general. We can see here, actually, no, his general is actually no, is he? Yeah, he's a morale general, he's a commander, okay. So he's going to try to make sure his general stays in the back, and he can use the general to his advantage to try to make sure his troops stay alive. And then this guy has brought 2 units of Praetorian Cavalry off on the left, on my left flank. And these are what the Triarii look like. So, put this on slow motion again. So the reason why some of these enemy troops were actually disappearing, guys, and they weren't in the woods, is because Rome 2 has a completely new line of sight system, which I really love. I think is really cool. Basically, in a nutshell, what this line of sight system is that if your units realistically cannot see the enemy units, then those units that are across the field, they'll disappear. So for instance, say I have some troops that are down this hill, yeah? And the enemy troops are up here, and say the hill is blocking my vision. What'll happen is that all the enemy forces here will disappear, because realistically my troops cannot see them because they're behind the hill. So it's a really cool added effect here where you can actually hide your troops without just keeping them in the woods. Without just keeping them in the woods in tall grass, and you can make it so you can maneuver around your opponent and use the line of sight system to your advantage to try to basically impair his vision of your soldiers, which I think is really fantastic. It's really phenomenal, and it's a very nice trick. A very nice system that SCA has added, and it really works. So right here we're going to have the first engagement here. Now the enemy, the reason why he's got such a small army is because he's got a lot of veteran upgrades in these Praetorian Guard, and these Praetorian Guard are very expensive. I wouldn't suggest getting just 2 and then putting a bunch of upgrades on them. It's better just to get them in bulk. And then he's also got a unit of Roman ballistas, and these ballistas are field artillery. Now, I didn't think originally that these ballistas were actually that good. However, you guys will see in a minute that these ballistas will wreak havoc on my soldiers. They've already killed on the left flank 4 Celtic Slingers on this unit and 12 Celtic Slingers on that unit. So as soon as I saw that, I just went, you know what? I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna have to go charge this guy, or else he's gonna pick me off from afar. So there's gonna be another barrage coming in a minute, and I want you guys to see this. Oh, that was the cinematic camera. I was actually trying to get a good view of my guys getting shot here. So right here we got some Celtic Warriors and some Celtic Slingers. The enemy is going to launch some more ballista in a moment. There we go. Holy crap, look at that. A bunch of my guys just got dropped. I lost 6 men on this unit, and I lost another 10 on this Celtic Slinger. Jeez, look at that. I would be totally afraid if I had to go up against something like that. That's just massive. Alright, so we're going to get my first engagement of the game here, guys. So what I'm going to be doing now is that since the enemy soldiers have such a heavy skirmish contingent army and such a heavy artillery piece, I'm going to have to charge my troops all in at this point, because if I stand back any further, my troops are going to die. Now, as a side note, SCA is really good with putting really good immersive animations in this game, and I just wanted to point out, if you guys look, when you have charging units, if they're getting hit by missiles, they will actually put their shields up and they will block arrows that way, and you'll see the arrows stuck in their shields. You can see a few guys like that, and it's really cool. So we're going to get the first charge of the day here. So these Celtic Warriors just chucked a bunch of their ammunition at these Triarii, and they're going to go in, and there we go, there's the first engagement. Shields on shields, swords will clash with swords. Let the Arverni go to town on this Troia. Let's take them to hell with us. Alright, so we're going to have the first engagement of the day here. Now, while these Celtic Warriors are keeping the enemy distracted, and when I charged these Celtic Warriors, I didn't believe they'd last very long, because Celtic Warriors are outmatched against Triarii. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually moving my Oathsworn around the left flank, which, as I said, these guys are my heavy infantry, along with my Naked Fanatics, and over here my cavalry is going to be starting to swing up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a few of my Oathsworn to go catch the Praetorian Cav here, because the Cav is not doing anything. So I'm actually going to be able to catch that Cav, and then down here my Oathsworn is going to use their their Headhunt ability, and also their Frenzied attack ability, and they're going to go in, and I'm going to use them to supplement my units on the left flank here. So down on the right flank, my troops have actually collapsed. You can see that I've lost pretty much all of these units. These Celtic Warriors are shattered. They're not going to come back. These two units of Celtic Warriors may, because they're only broken, but for right now, my right flank is gone. However, because the enemy didn't micro as cavalry, I managed to catch them, and I brought both these enemy cavalry units down to at least 20 troops, which is awesome. And now my Naked Fanatics are going to be moving in and attacking the enemy's forces here. So he's moved his Legatus away, which is a good move. So he's going to keep them away from my troops for the time being. But now that I've managed to push him away from his units, he can no longer give any morale buffs to his troops. So I'm going to charge my Naked Fanatics right into the back of the enemy guys. We're going to get a huge clash here. Let's actually go into the cinematic camera and take a look at this. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. It keeps taking me to the wrong units. There we go. We can take a look here at all of my men clashing, running around. I think this is really awesome. Alright, so while this is going on, while my troops are fighting in the back here, I'm pulling my cavalry around the back, and I'm going to go send them in to go take out my the enemy archers here. And then right here, I totally missed this charge, I apologize. My general I basically looped him around, and I took out the enemy general. So now that I've done that, I'm going to create a huge morale blow for the enemy troops. Now, if you destroy an armed general, then typically the army will actually lose a lot of morale. Now, a lot of units in Rome 2 actually have an ability called, I believe, Discipline, which makes it so they do not suffer a huge morale penalty if their general dies. But if you do kill the general in the enemy army will suffer greatly. So you guys can see here now that my troops are completely surrounding the Romans, and these Romans are fighting to the death. We've got some Praetorian Guard here, so these Praetorian Guard are going to last for a long time. But look, here comes my general. He's going to smash into the back of them. And that's pretty much going to be GG there. So the enemy's not going to hold much longer here. My noble horse is going in, and oh look, my troops are charging. I'm sorry, my troops are cheering their victory. They know they've won. 3, 2, 1, and that is the match. Alright, so that's going to be the end of the game today, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video for Rome 2 Total War. I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview and give you guys a little bit of an inside look about what the units were like. I'll be trying to feature every single faction in the future multiplayers to come, multiplayer battles to come, because I think it's really important that you guys get a feel for all the factions, what they look like, kind of how they play, in my perspective at least, and just how the game for Rome 2 definitely looks. So, like I said, guys, multiplayer is very fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. I love multiplayer, and I love campaign for Rome 2 already. This game is definitely not the cleanest release game ever, as many people have been saying on the forums and in videos, but overall, I do really enjoy this game, and I'm looking forward to continuing it. So, thanks for watching, guys. See you all again.